Okay, so today my main goal has kind of shifted a little bit. I had other things in mind that I was going to get done today, but because we just got a weather alert that we have been increased to a severe risk this evening, starting around 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and get my fruit trees planted, so that way the water, can help kind of water them in. But it's plus some of them are looking kind of sad, but I want to just go ahead and get that done so I can start focusing on other things. And it's really hard to do when I'm too busy looking at all of my fruit trees that I'm supposed to have in the ground that are looking kind of sad. So that's what I'm gonna get going on, get growing on today. It is hot AF out here right now. Not really compared to Texas heat, but acclimating. We didn't have a slow transition to acclimate to the heat, so it feels hot as hell out here right now. Right now it's okay, the cloud's covering the sun. When the cloud covers the sun, it gets about 10 to 15 degrees cooler and feels much better. But then when that sun comes back out, it's brutal. And we're not even in the 90s yet, let alone the 100s. So let's make the goal. I know things switch a lot for me, like I'm always pivoting and altering plans, but I'm gonna really make the goal to get everything that I need planted ASAP, because it's too hot to be out here in the full sun actually planting. Maintaining a garden is one thing, that's hot enough, but to actually be like manual labor planting, digging, all that jazz, nobody wants to do that. Yeah, so we have little plants coming up everywhere. Typically what we do is just like kind of like wild gardening, which no rhyme or reason. The only thing that ever really has any rhyme or reason are tomatoes, because they require trellising. So it looks like we're doing something architecturally linear, straight, in line, but it's just because they require the trellising. But anyway, there's a melon over there that I'm trying to work around. So that's what I was trying to say, is you see me over there kind of like working around stuff. The first step that I do is I pull back all the mulch to the area that I'm going to plant, and I dig a hole to loosen up the soil. But typically we plant at ground level just because we have so much mulch built up in some areas. When I get to planting some trees along this area, it's going to be not the same, because the mulch thins out drastically over here compared to over on that side. But I am putting out into the universe, putting up my prayers and all that good stuff that I just remembered I was supposed to call today. I'm going to have to call tomorrow. My tree service companies that I usually get mulch from, and see if anyone is in the area, so we can get some free mulch delivered, because I don't particularly like paying $250 a load. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I'm doing now. Got a bunch of logs in it, so it doesn't. I would put as many pallets or things, heavy things, because the wind's gonna come through tonight. We're supposed to have really strong winds, so. Okay, so I just got a pear tree planted, and I've lost count on how many trees. 2 apples, a pear. I got more pears over there. I need to get in the ground. 3 apples. I don't know. I've lost count on what I've planted so far. I'm not sure how many more tree plantings I have in me today. I'm starting to get really hungry. I haven't eaten anything today. Kind of feeling a little dizzy. Probably a combination of the heat and not eating. But yeah, anyway, so Michael was working on his area. I think what he decided was he's going to be planting his sweet potatoes in hay bales or straw bales. That ground over there is just it's going to take a lot more medium to fill in, or maybe he'll do some straw bales and maybe some in a mulch and kind of test them side by side and see what works best. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not sure how many more trees I'm going to get planted today. I would like to get more planted, but I think I'm starting to reach the ground that's kind of scaring me because there's not as much mulch over there. But I should really try to practice speaking more positivity and optimism into what I'm doing. This last one was really easy. The one I just planted was way easier than the ones before, and that's because when I was planting the one before that, I was like, oh man, this is going to be difficult. This is all the ground. And then I was like, you know what? I should speak more life and light over what I'm about to do so it doesn't have to be so difficult. So maybe I'm going to try that with this next row. Or wherever I find to plant trees. There's no rhyme or reason to where I'm planting them. I'm just getting them in the ground, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, it's warm out here. It's got to be probably close to 90 degrees. It was 84 or 86 when I first came out before I started recording anything. So anyway, yeah, that's that. It's hot. Israel's method of watering. That's probably enough water now. Oh, there's still so many weeds. Okay, so after that last clip, you saw where I said I probably didn't have any more in me. Every time I say that, or I doubt myself, then I get like this, no, F that, I can do it. So I had realized I had one more tree that I wanted to get over there today, or well, right now is what I took over there initially, the 3. And I realized, you know what, I'm going to try it a different way. I'm just going to cut the bottom of this tree because this tree has some peaches on it. Now, I know you're supposed to prune off the fruit the first year and all of that, and trim it down short and to get the roots established when you're first planting. I'm not going to do that with this one, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, it hurts my soul, but and I know I didn't even cut the apple and the pear and the apples that I did plant as short as they're supposed to be. The apricot I cut pretty low, and the peach tree I planted yesterday I cut pretty low. But the very first peach tree that we planted, I'll show you. That one right there, our main peach tree. Well, actually, we planted a lot of trees that year. And there's an apple tree right next to it. We planted a couple citrus before we realized citrus wouldn't survive here outside in the ground like that without protection. And we planted quite a few trees actually that year, and only the apple and that peach survived. And the citrus survived, the root survived, so the rootstock came back, and we used like the leaves and whatnot for things, but because they smelled absolutely amazing. But the thing with that peach tree, when we planted it, I did not trim it up. I left a peach that was on it, and I mean it's established itself into a fantastic tree. Now we should be pruning it better, and especially the apple. The apple, I don't know what's going on with the apple. I'm surprised it survived. Most of it is probably rootstock that's coming up, but that's okay. Now with this one, I'm going to leave it we, well, I don't think you saw, but we left it in the pot. We cut the bottom off. Israel cut the bottom off. I was over there digging, pulling soil back, and then somebody stopped by, and when I stood up, my vision kind of tripled and like legit cartoon style. So I came to sit down, and Israel went over there and she finished it. She cut the bottom off because that's how we're going to do that one, and probably most of the rest of the ones that I'm going to plant, just to see, to be able to compare the ones that we actually take out of the packaging or the pots, because all the rest of the ones I have now, I believe, are in pots. The bags I took out of the bags because it's plastic, and we'll see how it does, because it'll encourage the roots to go down versus out into our very loose mulch, and hopefully it'll encourage them to kind of work their way into the clay. She did break up that clay a little bit. I don't know how well she broke it up. How well would you say you broke it up? So I don't know if it's broken up enough for the roots to like really want to get in there, or if they're just going to go down and then still go out. Either way, it's going to be deeper than the roots at the top wanting to spread out sideways. So that's going to be an experiment. And I think the rest of them I'm going to probably plant like that as well, since most of the other ones are in pots. But yeah, so we got that peach one planted. So now we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 of the trees that we bought this year planted now over there. And I have to decide where the rest of them are going to go. Because what I decided is this 50 by 50 bed up here in the front that's already mulched is going to be the perennial garden. That's going to be the food forest, the wild. I just want things in there. We're going to plant companion perennials. And this year, since the trees aren't, they're not established, I will be planting some annuals over there, like some tomatoes, and some okra. I'll do okra along the perimeter, and I will be doing squash in between. We'll plant annuals over there as well, but for the most part, it's going to be a food forest. It's going to be perennials, and we'll fit annuals in where we can get them in. And then the 40 by 40 that we had mulched last month, that's going to be where the raised beds go, and where the majority of the annual vegetables and stuff that we're going to grow are going to be. And I have plans for trellising a lot of the melons, because, vertical space doesn't take up that much stuff. And the area immediately, kind of like where I'm sitting under the tree in front of the house, and the northern half of the house, I think is where we're going to put like just our outdoor sitting, eating, chilling out area, with maybe a couple picnic tables out here. It's been a long time coming, and it's really funny that we're starting to get to that stuff now. May 1st marked 9 years out here at this property. And you're probably thinking, like, why are you planting all of these fruit trees? And I'm thinking it myself, if you're not, like, oh, now we're planting all of these fruit trees, and now we're going to get this area straightened up. Well, the first year we moved in, we had just had a baby, and I still had very much baby brain for a couple years. And then we ended up having another baby, and nothing gets done when I'm pregnant, going through the hyperemesis stage of pregnancy. And then towards the end, when I actually can do things, I'm so large that that one year, well, it was Aviva, we put up that fence, and I was doing T-posts, right? Probably not the best thing to do when you're like fully loaded pregnant, but we needed to get it done. But I'm so, like, when I actually have the energy to do stuff, I'm so limited on what I can actually do, because I don't want to take a chance and hurt the baby. And doing things like that trigger contractions. And considering she was the 7th baby, I'm surprised that I didn't just like have her right in the garden that day. I remember that day. It was interesting, but we got it done. We put a fence around the garden because the birds were coming in, and they were eating everything. This is when our birds were free range because we didn't have any fencing up at all. So anyway, but I'm thinking, like, we're coming to the end of our stay here. And granted, I keep talking about that, but I really don't know how much longer we're going to be here. And regardless on if it's to the end of the year or for another year and a half or 2 years, we are likely going to maintain this property anyways. I don't think we're going to sell it. As of right now, I don't feel like we're going to sell it. But with that said, anything is possible and things can always change. I don't know what the plans are. I don't know what the future holds. So I'm just thinking out loud. But it would have been nice to get all this stuff done when we first moved in, and then we'd have a bunch of fruit trees producing fruit, like the one over there, and we'd have a lot more established. But there's no point in crying over spilt milk or what could have been or should have been, because we're doing it now, and we're learning as we grow. And then what we'll be able to do is take all of this knowledge, and this is what I've always said since we first moved here. I honestly didn't think we would be here 9 years. This was never the forever place. This was always part of the stepping stone, just to get out of the city or the suburbs. But yeah, we've learned a lot, and we'll just continue to learn and observe what we're doing and the mistakes we've made or the successes we've had, and be able to apply those to the new property, where we will be starting essentially from scratch, short of finding an established place that already practices permaculture. But then at the same time, where's the fun in that if it's someone else's work, right? I wouldn't mind some established. Well, we have criteria. We definitely have to have trees. That's always been the thing. When we bought this property, it was primarily because there were already established trees on the property, and we had a waterway in the back. So trees and water, always, you need that. But yeah, so anyway, all that to say, we got all of those trees planted. I'm just rambling at this point. And the storm is supposed to have already started coming in, but I don't know if you can see back there. So far, my skies are looking pretty clear. So we might be on the outskirts of it, or it's just running a little bit behind. It's a little slower than they expected. But either way, I'm glad we got what we got planted. We got them out of their containers, and at least we're giving them a shot at surviving in the ground. I am going to have to figure out irrigation for them, because I want to have the best possible chance, of course, anytime you plant a tree, of maintaining it. And considering some of these were looking a little shady when we planted them, their root systems weren't that great. I don't want to have to be out here for 6 hours a day watering them thoroughly and deeply. So we have to figure out irrigation fairly soon. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this video up, because anything else that I do get done, I'm just going to get done off camera. This time I mean that. And thanks so much for watching. Come back and learn as we grow with us. And don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below and let us know what your method is for planting fruit trees, or if you've tried planting them in the pots and just opening up the bottoms, and what your success is with that. Yeah, thanks so much. See you next time. Bye. Talked about how we had beautiful blue skies, and now the storm is rolling in. Still have 2 apples to get planted, a plum, actually another apple, a pear. Those are all going to be planted the way we planted that last peach. Those are my mamey sapotes in those 2 pots down there. Citrus staying in the pot. Almost done planting trees. Oh, another plum hiding. Figs, I'm just up hiding into bigger trees. Well, the hail came back. The first round was little pea size, and now this, about quarter size. My car. I'm not even gonna go out there right now because it's still coming down, and what's done is done. I know, I'm not going out there, baby.